Alright, welcome back to another Q&A. I really don't know why, but I love doing the Q&A. Something about interacting with you guys is a really big deal to me. Let's get straight into the questions. Do you think they will make legendary gear for DLC characters? I'm not sure if they confirmed this on the Watchtower livestream, but I would be shocked if they didn't. It seems very likely to me that they would. It just seems very strange to have some characters in the game have legendary gear and some characters not. So I do believe once all of the legendary gear is in the game, DLC characters will absolutely have some. I don't know what order that's going to be in. I don't know if the main roster's gonna get all of their legendary gear first and then we get the DLC characters, or if it's just randomly decided. I would imagine most likely what ends up happening is that they sit together in a design room and they go, hey, I've got this really cool idea for a Gorilla Grodd legendary piece of gear, and one of them goes, hey, that's a pretty good idea, or one of them goes, no, that's stupid, and then the coolest ideas get made first. Quick shout out to Alvin, who always has a really cool question going into the Q&A, so thank you so much, Alvin. Keep being awesome. Q&A, do you think Wildcat could be a DLC character? If so, do you think Catman could be a premier skin for Wildcat? I really don't think Wildcat will make it onto the DLC roster, especially not at this point with only 3 characters remaining to be revealed. It just seems very unlikely to me that he would be one of them, especially with characters like Beast Boy, Adam, Constantine, Mira, Enchantress, all of these characters in front of him who have not been revealed yet. It seems that they were far more likely to be in Fighter Pack 3 than he would be. That being said, his bar is in the game, and overall the character is pretty awesome. I would say the closest thing we're ever going to get to Wildcat being in Injustice 2 is possibly a Batman premier skin, but other than that, I don't see him showing up in the game, and I can't really see them making a Wildcat premier skin work for Batman, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it seems very unlikely for either Catman or Wildcat to show up in Injustice 2. Based on the possibility of gear variety, if we could get any Star Wars character in Injustice 2, who would you like it to be? At least that's how I'm going to answer the question. Who would I personally like it to be? Not who it would be, because I'm not going to try and make a prediction about a Star Wars character, because that seems very unlikely. But assuming it was going to happen, who would I like it to be? Probably just like a really standard answer, like Darth Vader or somebody like that. Probably just because he could have a very awesome gear system. But past that, I can't really speak to it, because honestly, I'm not that huge of a Star Wars fan. I've seen every episode, but Star Wars has never been like a big deal to me. I would never really consider myself a quote-unquote Star Wars fan. I do enjoy the movies, especially the most recent one, but past that, I probably wouldn't consider myself like a massive Star Wars fan. Firestorm premier skin for El Diablo. A lot of people bring this up because El Diablo and Firestorm, they both have fire powers, so it should work, right? Well, not necessarily. In fact, that's probably one of the least important things about a premier skin now that we've seen that we can change the visual effects. For example, a Heatwave premier skin would work for Captain Cold, not necessarily because the powers are the same, but because they could have very similar mannerisms. Firestorm and El Diablo are very different characters and can't really be intertwined that way, especially with Firestorm being the first character and El Diablo being the premier skin. El Diablo would have to be able to float the same way Firestorm does. He would have to do the same poses that Firestorm does. These are things that I can't see El Diablo doing in a million years. So I'm gonna go ahead and say absolutely not. El Diablo will not be a premier skin for Firestorm. Do you think NetherRealm will find a way to get past the gender swap skins in Injustice 3? So, for people who aren't aware, one of the big problems with adding in gender swap premier skins is hitboxes. At least that is the claim made by NetherRealm, and I certainly don't have a reason to doubt them. I really don't think they will manage to find a way through this, although I think there's a very simple way to get through this. I just don't think it's something they're going to want to do, which is I would just disable gender swap premier skins from being able to be used in competitive play. The ranked mode would disable any premier skin type system, especially if it's a gender swap, and just allow them to go kind of crazy with the premier skins. Being able to do skins like Katana for Robin, even though it doesn't make complete sense and it's a gender swap, would be something that would be really cool to see if you're a Katana fan. But right now, you know it's impossible in Injustice 2, so there's nothing to be excited about or to question about. Basically, if it's male to female or female to male, there's no mystery there, there's no questioning, there's no excitement, because you know it's absolutely not going to happen. And I think that's still going to be a problem moving into Injustice 3, unless they do decide to adopt that policy of, hey, premier skins just aren't usable when you go on to competitive ranked mode. Do you think Red Arrow has a possibility to be a premier skin for Green Arrow? Man, it's such a shame that I'm gonna probably say no. As much as I like the Red Arrow character, I'm a huge fan of Roy Harper in particular, I really don't think he's going to end up making it onto the roster. beta, or making it as a premiere skin, I should say. Overall, NetherRealm seems pretty slow at releasing these premiere skins, and for good reason. They release them to very, very high quality once they're actually there. Jon Stewart looks amazing, Supergirl looks amazing, Reverse Flash looks amazing, Vixen looks amazing, and all these characters that I just mentioned, as far as quality goes, are probably the worst premiere skins in the game, because the rest of them are characters like Black Lightning, who's not actually in the game yet, but we know he looks amazing just based on his super animation and everything we've seen from him, and Bizarro, which was a massive step up in quality compared to the other premiere skins, even though the other premiere skins were really, really good. So it seems to be that NetherRealm's primary function when looking at a premiere skin is making it as good as possible, rather than pumping out as many as they can, which is awesome for us, the consumer, because it means we have to pay for less in the end. And the stuff that we do get is of much higher quality. But for us hardcore consumers, for the people who want as much as possible, I think we probably would take that trade-off of slightly less quality to be able to get characters like Red Arrow that otherwise would have no chance of showing up in the game. So basically, in short, my short version of that answer is probably not. It'll probably take up a little bit too much development time, and they already spend so much development time on premiere skins. Are you going to play Black Lightning or Raiden? At first, I'm probably going to play a lot of Black Lightning just because I won't have the Raiden gear. But once I do unlock a lot of Raiden gear, I'm probably just going to end up playing a ton of Raiden because I like customizing my stuff. I'm definitely always going to keep a Black Lightning loadout though ready to go, because Black Lightning is an awesome character, and then I'm sure when his CW show finally airs, I'll probably start playing him a lot more as well. Do you think Injustice games should have only DC characters in DLC? Absolutely not. As a massive DC fan, Barry Allen is one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. Big fan of DC, Batman included, obviously one of my favorite fictional characters of all time also. I still, so far with the DLC characters, haven't been excited for any of them individually. Obviously, I'm excited that the fans got characters like Red Hood, but it's not a character I was looking forward to. Starfire, I was excited that people got her because people have been looking forward to her for a very long time, but none of these characters I've personally been invested in, other than Hellboy. I'm really excited about Hellboy because that's a character I would have put on my quote-unquote dream wish list if I knew I was able to pick a character like Hellboy. I didn't think Hellboy was even a possibility. So even though I'm not necessarily a Hellboy fan, it's a character that I'm very excited about because he's just a badass. When you see him, he's awesome. So much about him is just very, very cool. And it's the first character that I'm genuinely looking forward to for my own personal interest. Not just because the community is interested in it, not because I'm mildly interested in the character. It's a character that I'm genuinely very excited to see what they do with. And that wouldn't be possible if we only had DC characters. That being said, you could also bring up an argument that if they had only DC characters, maybe Hellboy would have been Vibe, and Vibe is the character that, of course, I've been hoping for since day one. What is your opinion on the hood gear piece coming soon for Green Arrow? Personally, I think Green Arrow looks terrible with a hood. Ooh, those are fighting words. As a Green Arrow fan, I must dispute this. I think Green Arrow looks really cool with a hood. But regardless, even if I didn't think he looked really cool with a hood, it's something that a lot of people want. And if they're able to get that, I'm excited for them. But I don't really have a strong opinion about it either way. Personally, I'll probably use it because I think the hood looks pretty cool. But we actually haven't even seen in-game footage of it yet. So we're going to have to wait and see to get like a true, really strong opinion on it. But I'm excited about it for sure. Would you rather Star Labs or Multiverse for Injustice 3? 100%, not even, I don't even need to question this, 100%, not even thinking about Star Labs when I answer this question. Multiverse, 100%, not even close. Multiverse offers a lot more single-player content for people who aren't interested in playing online, and if they want to add Star Labs, it doesn't mean that they can't add Star Labs, but Multiverse in particular I think needs to be a massive priority moving forward on all NetherRealm projects, including Mortal Kombat. Obviously it wouldn't be called Multiverse, but something very functionally similar. You go to different places, you complete objectives by beating up other people. I think that's really important because it gives that single-player content that is so important in a fighting game where basically the only gameplay past the story mode is online, and not everyone wants to play online because not everyone's looking to play the game competitively, and there's no way of filtering out competitive players and non-competitive players outside of like casual and ranked. Bit of a longer answer than I probably needed, but yeah, definitely Multiverse, because single-player content I think is much more important than most developers give it credit for. With the arrival of Hellboy and Raiden, we will have a total of 3 characters in the game, guest characters in the game, although it is slightly unlikely. If you had to pick a new guest character outside of Mortal Kombat, who would it be? Well, damn you for the outside of Mortal Kombat distinction, or else I totally would have went for a character like Tremor, despite not being a very popular character. I think Tremor would work pretty well in Injustice 2. I think a character like Pennywise would be pretty interesting. Obviously, Pennywise having a movie being released fairly recently. I did actually bring up Pennywise in one of my previous videos about potential crazy guest characters, and I still stand by that. That is a character that they have access to theoretically because it's being developed by Warner Brothers, but understandably it's not a character that they necessarily went out for in this game, but you could totally pull it off, right? You could make a more cartoony version of it who's less scary and would work in the Injustice roster, at least in my opinion. I've seen that you've talked about Injustice 3 storylines quite a lot. What about DLC for Injustice 2, like a tiny DLC story somehow, or even just one-off stories? I don't know, some people don't realize how much budget it takes to put together cutscenes and things like that. I think if we got anything like this, a DLC story or mini stories for each character or anything like that, they would end up being kind of like slideshow stock image stuff. We wouldn't get like animated full-on cutscenes because that takes a lot of work and a lot of money and everything, and it just doesn't seem worth it for NetherRealm to do that for the small portion of the community who do want extra story content. There's tons of single-player content in the game already. I don't think there's any need for an extra story mode anyway. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video. My name has been Bilbzy, keep being awesome, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.